Welcome back, Michigan sports fans. Today's a bit of a different type of podcast. We've been covering a lot of basketball recently, but it's time to just get ready for the football season, which is coming up on us fast. Week 1 starts on August 28th, so we are less than 2 months out, or about 2 months out as of today. So it's coming up pretty quickly. And obviously, for Michigan fans, last season was a disappointment. Didn't get to finish the year because of COVID issues. Didn't get to play the game against Ohio State. Didn't play Iowa either. And in the games Michigan did play, it wasn't a good team. So this is definitely going to be a bounce back year, hopefully, for Jim Harbaugh and company. And the schedule starts not too badly. Western Michigan, definitely a decent MAC team. Almost every year, they're in the top half of that conference. This year's going to be no different. They're expected to be one of the top 5 teams in the MAC, top 4 even. But they're not the cream of the crop in that conference, which means they're not a very solid FBS team, as the MAC is one of the weakest conferences in the FBS. So that shouldn't be too difficult. It's also at home on ESPN, and we should be ready to go for week 1. Week 2 is once again at home against Washington, a primetime game on ABC. This is where the season gets interesting, because if we go into Washington and just don't show up to play, and this is a team that's returning 10 of its offensive guys, 7 on defense, they're going to be a solid team this year, no doubt about it. They're going to contend for the Pac-12 North championship, and they're going to definitely be a top 25 team when the season begins. So this is a game that Michigan has to come in ready to play. Definitely a winnable one. I don't think Washington's going to be amazing this season. I don't think they're going to win the Pac-12. I don't think they're in that tier yet, with an interesting quarterback situation there. They don't really have a defined quarterback as of now. So Michigan needs to take care of business against Washington, which will be easier said than done. If we can do that, starting 2-0, going into 2 should be easy games. Northern Illinois, not in its prime right now. They had a couple great years with Jordan Lynch at quarterback. That was 7 or 8 years ago, though. They've been one of the weaker teams in the MAC for a little while now, and definitely the easiest team on Michigan's schedule for 2021. This game, once again, is in Ann Arbor. Michigan starts with 4 straight in Ann Arbor at noon. The fans should be pretty loud, but this one really shouldn't be too difficult. I expect an easy win here, probably by 30-plus points. September 25th, we take on Rutgers, and it's homecoming, so that'll just add a lot of fans, although it is also the Big Ten opener, so there would have been a lot of fans anyway. It's in Ann Arbor again, like I said, and Rutgers has definitely been an improving team under Greg Schiano, but still definitely a ways off from where they want to be, although they almost beat Michigan last season in triple overtime. You could argue they should have beaten Michigan in triple overtime. It's still murky offensively for this team, and while they might not be the seller of the Big Ten anymore, they're definitely not too far above it. So I don't see too much trouble here, but this is where we could be caught off guard with the game at Wisconsin next week. So Michigan should be prepared here. I do think that if Michigan takes care of business against Washington, this is a 4-0 start to the year, and Michigan could potentially be a top 10 team in the rankings by October 2nd, where they would take on Washington or Wisconsin in Madison. And I'm not sure how sold I am on Graham Mertz, but Wisconsin is still Wisconsin. They're returning 8 guys on offense and defense, and they're still a preseason top 20 team from what I've seen. And on the road in Madison, Michigan has struggled. Under Jim Harbaugh against Wisconsin in big games, we have struggled, pretty big losses recently. And so I'm not expecting a win here, I'm not going to lie. I think this is one of the tougher games on the schedule. But if Michigan can manage a win here, then it really opens up. But I'm expecting a loss here. And then we go to Nebraska in Lincoln, so not an easy one, although Nebraska is still not at its peak either. Scott Frost's 4th season needs to go better than his first 3 have. And we'll see how this Nebraska team is. I don't think they'll be too great, I'm not going to lie. They really haven't done a great job since they moved into the Big Ten. But once again, this isn't a game to just gloss over. Nebraska on the road will not be easy. I don't think this will be a blowout for Michigan. I think it will be relatively close, but I do think Michigan gets the win here. Then the bye week, and we get a home date against Northwestern, which is very big. That game on the road would have been very difficult. Michigan struggles on the road against Northwestern. But at home, this should be a winnable game. Pat Fitzgerald does a great job. He's done a great job in his time in Evanston. But I do think this is a win for Michigan. Northwestern just losing their quarterback, losing their star offensive lineman, Greg Newsome on the defensive side. That's going to hurt them for next season. And I don't think they'll be the same level team as they've been prior seasons. Now, October 30th at Michigan State. This one could be difficult. I know Michigan State hasn't really resolved their offensive issues, and Mel Tucker didn't do the greatest job in his first season. But what Michigan State did do was beat Michigan. And last season, that was unacceptable. This is going to be in East Lansing, so that always is tough, especially for such a bitter game. People say the Ohio State game's extremely hard fought, but the games against Michigan State are almost always as hard fought, if not more. There is a serious bitterness to this rivalry, and it's going to be a difficult one for sure. Honestly, I think Michigan State will win this one this year, and I'm not just saying that to be a downer. I think that Michigan is going to lose this game. If they're going to lose one game against a team that's worse than them, it's going to be this one. I think Michigan State gets the better of them here, and I'm not trying to be a pessimist. I just believe that at Michigan State will get tripped up. Now here, November 6th against Indiana, I believe Indiana is one of the best teams in the Big Ten. Returning Michael Penix Jr., who was having a great season of football before he tore his ACL. If he's back, if he's healthy, Indiana becomes a top 10 football team for the 2021 season. And at home, this will be a great game. They only lost to Ohio State and Auburn last season, and I think Indiana is the favorite in the Big Ten East over Wisconsin. But at home, I think Michigan actually takes care of business, and we almost always seem to get one big win at home. 2019 was against Notre Dame, obviously that blowout. Last season, there wasn't any big win at home, but that was because of COVID, lack of fans. This season, I think this Indiana game is where the fan turnout really boosts Michigan, and we get the win against a team that you could argue on paper should have the advantage over Michigan. November 13th at Penn State. This is going to be one of the toughest games on the schedule. November's schedule, by the way, for Michigan is absolutely brutal. This 4-game slate, I argue, is up there with the toughest in college football. And the Penn State game is definitely one of the harder ones on this November slate. I think at Penn State in State College, it's going to be tough. The whiteouts, they always have them. I think this is going to be a night game on prime time. I think that Penn State's going to get all riled up for this one, and that's never a good thing. I remember a couple years ago, they just demolished Michigan. Saquon Barkley just ran roughshod over us, and it was the whiteout game that their fans just proved the difference. I remember, I think Shea Patterson. No, it might have been even prior to Shea Patterson. One of our quarterbacks just couldn't hear the signals coming in from the sideline, and that's the atmosphere in State College during these type of games. I don't think Michigan takes this one. I think Penn State gets it. November 20th is at Maryland. This is a trap game for sure. The week before Ohio State. Don't take your foot off the gas. If we are coming off a win against Penn State, that's definitely going to be a real possibility. If we're coming off a loss at Penn State, I think this one there will be motivation to win this game no matter what. But coming off a win at Penn State, this could be a trap game before Ohio State. And I'm not going to pronounce his name. The Maryland quarterback, brother of Tua, Talia Tagovailoa. He's a talented guy. Last season wasn't his greatest, but I do believe he has a bright future. I think Maryland will be better than they're expected to be this season. That means I think they'll make a bowl game. And I think this will be harder than we think at right now. But I still think Michigan takes care of business against Maryland, and that brings up Ohio State, who is weaker than usual this year. Weaker than usual, but still way better than Michigan. Justin Fields is gone, but it looks like CJ Stroud will get the starting job, and we'll see if he's the answer at quarterback. If not, this is maybe Michigan's best chance in a long time to beat Ohio State in Ann Arbor on Fox at noon. The chips lining up, and Ohio State's definitely not a top-tier team this year, or at least as of now, they don't seem to be. So we'll see what happens. I'm more optimistic about this game than I've been in at least 3 or 4 years because Ohio State is not bringing in a Heisman contender at quarterback for the first time in a while. So let's hope for the best against them. I still think they'll find a way to beat us because Jim Harbaugh just can't overcome Ohio State and Ryan Day. But we'll see. This is going to be an intriguing year for Michigan. The quarterback situation right now is up for grabs, although I do think Cade McNamara gets it. And we're returning a lot of dudes on offense. The defense is where there's going to be a lot of holes to fill. But if those can be filled, Michigan will actually be all right this season. Not great, but we'll do decently. I think 8-4, 9-3. Those records are definitely in the cards for 2021. The big games, obviously, Ohio State, Penn State, Indiana, Wisconsin, Washington. If we can go 2-3 or even 3-2 in those games, then the season will be a success. If not, if we go 0-5 or 1-4 and then lose another one, then it's tough. But if we go 8-4 this year, I think Jim Harbaugh next season's the year, or 2023 is the year where J.J. McCarthy will be a junior, and Michigan, the pressure will be on to win, but not for 2021. This is just a rebuilding year, bounce back year. Let's hope for the best with a decent schedule. So that's going to be the video. Thank you for watching, and peace.